I now call the Executive Committee of the O'Hare Noise Compatibility Commission. It's Monday, January 10th, 2022 at 10:30. The commission is meeting remotely pursuant to Public Act 101-0640 related to COVID-19, which allows public bodies subject to the Open Meetings Act to conduct remote meetings under certain conditions. And Maura, with that, would you please call the roll?
Joe Annunzio,
Here.
Karen Robles,
Here.
Raymond Cooper, Evan Summers,
Here.
Dennis Ryan,
Here.
Ralph Sorsey, Brian Gazer,
Here.
Jennifer Kelso,
Here.
and Aaron Frame.
Here.
We have quorum.
All right, very good. Thank you. Next, we have approval of minutes. We have two sets of minutes we have to approve. Do I hear a motion to approve the November 1st, 2021 ONCC executive minute meetings?
I'll move so. Second.
All right. Does anybody see any corrections that need to be done? Any discussion? If not, call the roll.
Can I ask a question? Sorry, point of information. There's two sets of minutes. Can we do both in one motion?
Well, we'd have to have a motion to do that.
Right. Can we
Okay.
modify the motion?
Sure. Does somebody want to make a motion to report?
I'll move so.
Same
I
thing?
mean, you can't do that. There's an open motion on the floor, so you and the second, or the first and the second need to agree to the amendment.
Someone else has to make the amendment. Sorry.
I agree to the amendment since I seconded it.
I agree to it since I first did it.
Sorry. Joe Annunzio,
Before we go that far, are there any discussions or changes to the December 8th one? If not, okay, let's call the roll for a combined approval.
Joe Annunzio,
Yes?
Karen Robles,
Yes.
Ray Cooper is not here. Evan Summers,
Yes.
Dennis Ryan,
Yes.
Brian Gazer,
Yes.
Jennifer Kelso,
Yes.
and Aaron Frame.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
All right, thank you. Number 4, report from the Chicago Department of Aviation. I'll now ask Aaron Frank to provide us with the report. Aaron?
Good morning, everyone. Just a quick update on the conditions at O'Hare. As you know, there have been a lot of cancellations over the last 2 or 3 weeks due to airline shortages of staff due to COVID. So I would not say that O'Hare is sort of operating under normal conditions. There are times when, for the airplanes that are flying, we are seeing 3 departure runways and 3 arrival runways, which is great. So the airfield is doing well. I think what's going on behind the scenes is just staffing of the aircraft crew. So I would say operations are down a little bit lower than usual, not just because of the weather, but because of crew shortages. I think that's really all I have. Are there any questions for me?
The only thing, I have one question, Aaron. On January 1st, did anything unusual happen at the airport in terms of flights?
Not that I'm aware of. Is there something that I should look for, Chairman?
The only reason why I ask is I had one of the constituents write me an email saying she was going crazy on January the 1st because the airplanes were killing her. So I just was wondering that something extraordinary happened on that date, or was it just a typical?
No, tell me what, Chairman, while we're meeting today, I'll pull up the flight tracker for January 1st, and in a minute we can come back to it and I can show you what the flow was.
Okay, that'd be good. She tends to overstate her issues anyway, but I just wanted to make sure, so when I get back to her, I have something to say. Thank you.
Okay. Chairman, that completes my report.
All right,
Aaron,
thank you, Aaron.
Aaron, one
Brian.
fast question. How's the people mover working since it just started here in the last couple of months?
It's okay. It's having some trouble in the snow.
Okay.
long story short, just signal interruption. And so we are maintaining buses to make sure that all the passengers are okay.
Okay.
So there's still, I think on dry weather days, it's doing fine. And there are still some technical kinks to work out.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Joe, are you frozen? Well, maybe he's frozen. Can we go on to the committee reports? Erin, I know you mentioned a residential report. I don't know if you have that. I don't have it.
I think I do have it. I need to proofread it, make sure that there are no
Sure.
edits, and then we can transmit that to you for Friday's meeting.
Sure. no
It's just a
problem.
recap of the November committee meeting.
Sure. Okay. Fly Quiet.
Yep. So Fly Quiet's continued to meet monthly. We've made good progress and have now walked through the 4 components for both alternative B and alternative H. Starting in January, what we're going to do is sort of repackage everything based on the changes made by the committee and just make sure there aren't any additional tweaks we want to make once we look at the alternatives as a whole package as opposed to on an individual component basis. Right now, the plan is once we get through looking at alternative B and alternative H one last time, we will ask the committee to take a vote on a preferred alternative before then moving to more procedural topics. And once we get to the procedural discussion, the goal will be to package a recommended Fly Quiet program for the full ONCC Commission's consideration. As part of that, we are talking about starting to ramp up the information being provided to the full commission members so that they can all be prepared when time comes for a full vote, that they'll have an understanding of the work that's been done by the Fly Quiet committee and have opportunities to engage with any Fly Quiet committee members or the CDA or the consultants in advance of that vote. So that's where we're at today.
Karen, piggybacking on that, I have a, I don't know what you want to call it. Elk Grove Village is calling me in to justify my vote for heading 295. Would I be able to have some time with LMB and CDA to ahead of that meeting on Thursday to discuss JDA's assumptions?
Sure. I'm happy to, Evan. I presented to my committee last week, my transportation committee, and it's going to village board tomorrow night. And so I can walk you through our discussion as to why we prefer 295.
Okay, that'd be helpful.
So, but yeah, I mean, any of the communities are welcome to meet with LNB and CDA as far as I'm concerned.
Does LMB and CDA, you guys have time on Tuesday afternoon?
Yes.
All right, I'll follow up offline.
I'm back. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. I have a quick question. Would it help at all if I had a meeting with the chairman of SAC?
I think, Joe, at this point,
Karen?
the issues appear to be limited in nature, and I believe that they are engaging with the communities they have concerns about.
I just don't want a disruption at some point in the future from these guys. I want to, and if you let me know when you think that's coming, so I can speak to you directly.
I'll be candid, Joe. I think the other piece of this is that the chair of SOC is not an ONCC member. And so I think we need to walk a little bit of a fine line of how much we are engaging them on an official capacity. I think, and part of the conversation I had with them is that we have SOC representatives on the Fly Quiet committee and on the full ONCC, and they certainly have an opportunity to make their case.
Frankly, I wouldn't talk to him even as the mayor of Elk Grove Village. I would simply ask him, what's the deal?
I mean, the deal is,
what are you doing?
They want what they think is best and are struggling with.
So then I would tell him, join ONCC and tell us. This backdoor stuff is crazy. And
Yeah,
I'd like an opportunity to say that to him. Evan, you're shaking your head no. Is that a waste of time?
No comment. I don't know.
Maybe it's better to have this discussion offline.
Yeah, Joe, we can,
I
I'll
don't
circle
care
back
if
with
he
you.
hears this. I don't.
Yeah, Joe, I will tell you that at this point, I think it's too late, even if they joined ONCC. I mean, we're wrapping up Fly Quiet. And so I think we need to just keep going. And if they want to continue to engage in a more detailed conversation with individual members, like that's their prerogative. So if you want to talk to them as the chair, I think you can. I don't know that it will have a measurable impact, but
I'm going to rely on you guys because you know much better.
Yeah.
Than I do.
Let
If
me-
you think I should back
let me-
off, I'll back off.
Let me see what I can, how look, I'm fully understand why I voted the way I did and why I introduced the motion, and I can defend that till the day I die. Let me see if I can explain that to them, just in
Okay.
simple layman's terms. JDA's got a whole different set of metrics that they're trying to apply here, I think, that I don't think are necessarily the decisions that we're trying to make as ONCC. So I think I just need to explain that. And let me see what I can do. And if I fail, I'm sure we'll all find out.
I have a quick question for Evan and Ryan on that one. Is there a way of approaching this without making it look like JDA is off the rails? Because they'll defend themselves to the end then. You know, I mean, they'll get.
Yeah, I'm not gonna, I don't have a defense on here on technical merits. I have a defense on here of trying to create a collaborative approach to getting Fly Quiet past the entire ONCC. I have a qualitative approach rather than a quantitative approach, and I'm
Okay.
okay defending that.
yeah, Joe, we had a similar conversation. We're not disputing JDA's analysis. We're just looking at it from a Schaumburg and kind of ONCC perspective that, you know, they're looking purely at population, and we're also considering overlap of noise contours and dispersion of noise and compatible land uses. And so it's not a they're wrong and we're right. It's a what do we value as it relates to our residents being impacted. So I think we're all on solid ground here.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we'll see. We might need to regroup, but for now, I think we're okay.
All right. I won't say any more about it until you guys talk to me. All right.
Sounds good.
Okay. I think I'm in control again for the moment until Comcast decides to cut out again. Let's see. Next is I'm sorry, Karen, are you finished with your report?
I am finished my report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next is technical committee.
Yeah, I'll just have
Okay.
I'll just have an update from the November 16th technical committee where we will cover noise monitors, GAO report on aircraft noise, COVID-19 impacts, runway 9 right, 27 left update, and the Fly Quiet recognition program. I'll give that report at the full ONCC meeting.
Hey,
Okay, thank you.
Evan.
Yes, Karen.
I've had a few ONCC members that I talked to in other capacities ask about the 5G issue that we raised with the FAA. And I thought that might be a technical topic for consideration.
Oh,
at
it's
this
definitely
meeting.
technical. I've tried to get my head around it, but I think it'd be great to discuss at the next technical committee. Maura, can you put that on the agenda and can we figure out a nice presentation to go over that? Because it is fascinating.
Well,
Yeah.
and I'll be honest, the answer we got from the FAA was different than what I read in one of the trade magazines. So I thought I understood and now I don't again.
Yeah, just a quick update. I'll send a link to all of you. The FAA is sparring with the FCC. The argument that whatever was done in Europe is not necessarily applicable here due to different technology. And the FAA has created buffer zones around 50 top airports, including O'Hare and Midway. So I think implementation of 5G is deferred at those 50 airports for the time being, but I'll send you the latest press release. It certainly was it didn't end up being oh yeah, we've got it covered. They've changed their story.
Aaron, that exclusion of 5G, does that pertain to around the airports as well for near and air communities like Bensonville?
I'm not sure. I'll send you the link because when they say they created a buffer zone, I don't know like to what extent that means on the ground, right? I don't know if it's
Because we've definitely got pending applications for 5G installations in town.
right. So that's a good point, right? How could they create a like a buffer zone if they didn't consult you, right?
Right.
So I'll send you what the talking point in the press release is, and then you can study it.
Look forward to the study.
All right, Evan, do you have anything you want to say about the Daytime Noise Insight Subcommittee? Have you,
I thought that Ernie was heading that.
Yeah, Joe, there's some information in your,
I have something to say. I was just wondering, no, just to make sure you understand that executive committees, Ernie's not going to sit at the table, you will, so. Since he's under the technical.
Fair enough. No,
now
I did
I'm-
not have a report. I did not have a report on that. We have.
All right, I got something to say then.
Go ahead.
All right. We invited and heard back from most of the members who were invited to participate in the new technical subcommittee, Daytime Noise Insight Subcommittee. To date, the subcommittee members are Ernie Kobesar, Michelle House, Brian Gaser, Mayor Nunzio Police, and Peter Billick. We're still waiting to hear from a few other people. The committee will be comprised of 7 members, including the chair. It is our intent to have representation from all 4 quadrants. The subcommittee will explore daytime noise associated with the daily operations of Chicago International Airport. The focus of the group will be on 3 critical areas: airport operations, aircraft technology, and federal policy. The group is expected to have its first meeting early in 2022 with a follow-up meeting throughout the year corresponding with typical ONCC schedules. And so the committee is actually pretty close to being in formation. And I think it'll be interesting to hear what they have to come up with. What new knowledge they'll have for us. So with that, it's my turn to give a report.
Chairman, I apologize for interrupting. Is this a good time for me to show you the web track, or do you want to save that for later?
Can we wait until after the meeting is over?
Sure.
Is that fair enough? You got enough time? You're gonna stick around? 'Cause this should be more than 10, 15 minutes, so it'll be done.
Okay, sure.
All right. Yeah, let's get this out of the way because I'm sure not everybody cares about January 1st. Report from the chair. On December 9th, Karen, Evan, and I met with representatives of the FAA and CDA in an effort to reestablish regular meetings to keep in line and keep lines of communication open with the FAA. A copy of our follow-up letter was sent to committee members, which includes a list of questions we asked the FAA. It was suggested that we submit our questions in writing to receive our official response. The takeaways at the meeting included the things that we asked were, we asked Rebecca to accept our invitation to give a presentation on the upcoming ONCC general meeting regarding runway 9 right, 27 left, navigation aids and openings. She agreed to be at the March 4th, 2022 ONCC meeting, general meeting, to give that report. The FAA asked ONCC's input on whether outreach was needed on runway 9 right, 27 left. And in our letter, we said we thought this was a good idea. The environmental analysis for O'Hare Terminal Area Plan is expected later this year. Noise analysis will include in the draft environmental analysis once it is ready for public comment. The EA will include noise contours and noise contour and review, which would supersede anything done for the EIS. The FAA will meet with CDA Lambert and Brown for an update on the fly quiet progress to date. Suggested in attending the chief pilots meeting. FAA will look into preferential flight track data analysis to see if it is still being conducted. And when asked what the ONCC can do to be a good partner at O'Hare FAA, the FAA mentioned that an outreach and communication to its members was vital importance. I think it's important to make sure that our members are fully informed as to what's going on. And maybe that means, it's so tough as long as we do Zoom meetings because you can't just lean over to somebody and say, what's going on with you? But we'll have to make a special effort to make sure that everybody who attends the general meeting has some idea what they're listening to. And that concludes my report. Next is the report from the interim executive director, Maura.
Thanks, Joe. I'm just going to share my screen. That's wrong. Okay. We're going to be reviewing like the financial report through the executive committee. So each month I'll be presenting the statement of that month, and then we'll look at the year-to-date report. So for December, these are the expenses we had. These are pretty much the standard monthly expenses. The total amount is $7,097.61. And then the year-to-date, we are at 202,496.04, which is under budget. The total budget amount is $256,000. So looks like we have come in under budget for 2021. Probably mostly due to meeting expenses and things of that nature, since we were not meeting in person. So we'll do like a kind of a year-end wrap up with the accountant and have everything gone through. And we did do some reorganization for 2022. So, just kind of reshuffling, cleaning up of the line items. So that'll look a little different starting next month. But after several months, I think we have things in pretty good shape. And I thank everyone for their patience as we got through that process. And again, I thank Aaron for his help in helping me sort through it, and Dr. Cooper and Joe too.
Are there any questions about what ONCC is spending their money on? Okay, I just want to make sure that everybody is on board with this, so that we all have an idea what's going on with the internal operations. Next, Maura.
Sure. For member outreach, I just want you to be aware that it's an initiative that we're working on, and really taking a good look at it. I've talked to Aaron and Brian a little bit about it. So it's really something we're going to be focusing on how we can reach members better. I'm looking at doing an online survey to ask members what kind of information they would like and how they would like it presented. We've talked about possibly doing videos or kind of like fact sheets, but like more graphical oriented, or presentations and things like that, rather than like the text heavy report format that maybe people are not taking the time to read through. So just looking at different ways we can present the information in an effort to keep everyone informed. Any questions on that? For attendance, we will be enforcing the attendance policy, and we will be mentioning that at the upcoming general meeting. But we just want to make sure that all the members are aware that that will be in effect starting in 2022, and we will be following up more regularly on that. Any questions on that? Okay. And then finally, there is a provision in the bylaws that all ONCC members are required to submit an ethics statement. So that's another thing I'm going to be looking at, possibly having as an online form that members can fill out and submit online. But that is a requirement of our bylaws that we will be implementing and putting into effect this year. It already was in effect, but we'll be enforcing it this year. Anything else?
Any questions?
That concludes my report.
Okay, thank you very much. Next on our agenda is the agenda for the Friday meeting. Everybody want to take a look at that? Are any questions? I won't read it to you because you can read it yourself. So if you have any questions as to what we're going to be doing on Friday, ask.
Nope.
No. Okay, good. Very good. I don't think we need an approval of the agenda, do we?
No.
All right. Mara, thank you very much for your reports.
Thank you.
The next executive meeting will be on Monday, February 28th at 10:30 a.m. And lastly, these were coming to an end. ONCC comments from the audience. Do I have any comments from the audience?
Dan requested a comment.
Okay, Dan.
Yeah, thank you, Joe. First, Happy New Year, everyone. Two questions and comments. Was any part of the FAA discussion on what was presented at the November ONCC meeting regarding changes to the preferential runways? Because that's quite a bit different than what people have been told for the last 16 years, with the EIS.
I think I don't think there was a direct question to that, but I think everything we asked lended ourselves to find out.
We've certainly heard from residents, particularly on 10 Right, that feel like they were misled. They didn't receive sound insulation because this runway was used as during an interim condition, and the FAA changed that to a preferential runway. And so I can understand why they feel misled. And it seems like the implications are a bit wider than just that runway. And I'm wondering how we can get some questions answered as to why this happened and how things like sound insulation will be addressed.
Okay.
All right. And I'll have more questions on Friday. So hopefully we can at least have a path to get some answers. It's the congressional reps as well have been using this information and even posters on their wall as far as what the runway balance would be at full build out. And that appears to be somewhat out the window, but I'll move on from that. As far as fly quiet, and this is perhaps a situation where our attempt not to be disruptive, I mean by us fair, hasn't served us well. And this is in regards to a submission we made back in March of last year for dealing with consecutive impacts. And I won't bore the committee with the whole story, but it seems to boil down to the July 20th meeting, which was the first meeting where there were secondary configurations on the agenda. And it's our understanding the issue there is slides weren't prepared for that meeting to introduce that concept. So it was put up to a vote as to whether even to consider modifications. And since then, there doesn't seem to have been the opportunity to reintroduce that. And now that we're wrapping up alternative B, I guess we're making the request again to somehow have that corrected so that it receives the same consideration as the other recommendations.
Yeah, so Dan, I got your email last week. I shared that with Landerman Brown and CDA. And so, I think we've said all along that when we revisit alternative B and H as a full package, we'll have an opportunity to revisit topics. And so I have not had a chance to talk to Landerman Brown, but you certainly have an opportunity as part of those discussions to raise the concerns, and I'll work with L&B to make sure there's slides available for you, but you're certainly at the table and welcome to raise your concerns as part of that alternative B discussion.
Okay, and just the overall ask is that, like the other recommendations, that it should be presented and not subject to a vote prior to being shown, and that has been the obstacle.
Well, Dan, the vote was necessary for parliamentary procedures because we'd already taken a vote, and so you have to take a vote to then reconsider. And so that was kind of a logistical issue. So that was why the vote was necessary. It
And I
wasn't-
understand that at the August meeting, the subsequent meeting where the slides were available, the stumbling block was the July meeting where they weren't available. That sort of started us down this path. Had we been given the option, do we want to put a recommendation up to the vote, up for a vote without the committee even seeing it? Or would we want to defer to the next meeting? We obviously would have deferred. We were just never given that opportunity. So
Okay, well,
appreciate the
can't-
consideration.
Any other questions from the audience? If not, once again, our next meeting will be a general meeting, January 14th at 8 o'clock. And lastly, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Almost, so.
Second.
Mara, will you call the roll?
Joe Anunzio,
Yes.
Karen Robles,
yes.
Evan Summers,
Yes.
Dennis Ryan,
Yes.
Brian Gazer,
Yes.
Jennifer Kelso,
Yes.
Aaron Frame,
Yes.
motion carries.
All right, thank you very much. Good seeing everybody again. I know this year's going to be better than the last one. I'll
Hope
see
so.
everybody on Friday. Aaron, can you stay on?
Yes, Chairman.
Thank you.
Bye,
Brian,
everybody.
can you stay on as well?
Yes.
We could start right now if you guys want. Everybody has an opportunity to walk out the digital door.
Yeah, Chairman, let me go ahead and show you what was up with Flight Track on that particular day. Chairman, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so when I loaded Flight Track in the bottom left-hand corner, it shows me all 24 hours for the day.
Yeah.
And the mouse, you can see from the tallest
Yeah.
bar on the bar chart was the hour 9, which is the 9 o'clock hour. So I'm just going to run a replay for you for the 9 o'clock hour so that you can see generally what was going on. I'm not sure. Do you know the time that the
You said in the
homeowner?
morning.
Okay, well then
You
let's
said-
go ahead and look at the 9 o'clock hour. I have this preloaded, so I'm just going to run this for you. Let me reset this to 9 o'clock. And I've got this on super speed just for the sake of your time.
Sure.
So this is set and now it's loading. So the green bar on the bottom will go all the way to the right. You're going to see that we were on East Flow. And in a minute, I'll just zoom in so that you can see a little bit more what was going on with respect to Niles. I suspect, Chairman, that she was experiencing departures, East Flow departures. But we'll zoom in so that you have a better sense.
Oh, Comcast, don't cut out on me again now.
I will say, Joe, that we were pretty heavy West Flow the end of the year. So any days that we are in East Flow, like
You'll notice it more.
first, is gonna somewhat seem abnormal, I guess.
Yeah.
If we're consistently operating in one flow, and then we'll have a day like January 1st, where we're in East Flow, you're gonna have residents that think, oh my God, this is different. But it's just something that the flow has been constant for a period of time.
She said her windows were rattling.
So Chairman, I apologize. This was not this